going on?
What's up?
What's up, man? This is
Just
Whiskey. Dude, I love it. Let's listen to it for a second. It's a website called Envato Elements, and they have, so you do like a yearly subscription, and they have like all kinds of photos, all kinds of music, like tons of stuff. So then there's just that's where I pull all the music for my videos and stuff that I do, like all the real estate listings. I can go in there and choose whatever I want. So I was going through a bunch of them, and I found this one. I was like, hey, this sounds pretty cool. It's actually where I found the music for the intro, as well as the little cubes going into the glass, the whiskey pouring. I found it on that website too. And then even the sound effect of the ice cubes hitting the glass, I had to add that in. So I found that on there as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff.
That's pretty cool. That's some good music. I'm not gonna lie. You found a good song.
Thanks. So this is Whiskey with an Agent. My name is Jared. What's up, Chris?
Chris, welcome everyone.
Yeah. So today,
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. Well, mine was okay. Mine was good. I didn't do a whole lot.
No.
No.
I don't know if you can hear it, but the music's still playing.
Yes, I know. I like hearing it in the background. I'll turn it off for you. I'll turn it off. Right. There we go. Now it's just us. It's just you and me.
Excellent.
Talking.
And everyone else listening.
And everyone else
that would like
listening.
to listen, because we have a very sensitive topic right now. It's we actually did a poll, and I don't know about you, Jared, but I did one on Facebook and I did one on Instagram.
Yes.
And 100% of people on Facebook wanted to hear about commissions, because we did a poll between commissions and contracts.
Yes.
Apparently contracts is really boring. I don't blame them. Commissions,
yes, it is.
Like, there's a lot of misinformation about commissions.
I mean, contracts you can read and understand them, but it's hard to understand exactly what you're paying for, what those commissions are, what they're going towards. I mean, why the heck? Yeah. You know, I get this a lot. Like, why am I paying so much in commissions to these real estate agents? Yeah. You know, why? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're talking about real estate agent commissions, or brokerage commissions is technically what they would be, because we don't actually get the commission directly. It goes to our brokerage.
Yeah, unless you are the broker yourself.
Unless you are the broker yourself, but it goes to the broker, and then it gets divvied out from there. And we're gonna, there's a lot of stuff that we're gonna cover. But first and most important thing, because the name of the show is Whiskey with an Agent, we should talk about what we're drinking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I heard you went to the store today. You branched out a little bit.
I did. So I felt bad, and I was like, man, I always feel bad. I'd come on the show and I'm like, oh, I'm just drinking what I had left over. And then Chris has always got some new bottle. He's like, oh yeah, I'm bringing out this, blah, blah, blah bottle. And I'm like, crap, man, I got to step up my game. So I went out and I got a new bottle. And it was actually one, I think you've had it before, Chris. So I was like, well, I want to try it. But dun, 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 dun.
The 6-year piggyback. You cannot go wrong. Anybody who is a fan of whiskey should have heard about the Whistle Pig. It's an amazing brand, very affordable in my personal opinion, and it is incredibly smooth. The 6-year is really good. I have the 10-year out there. I've been sipping on it. It's so good. But sir, you haven't had that before.
I have not. I can't wait. And it's a fresh bottle. There's the tab right there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. What about you? What are you drinking?
I am drinking something a little left over from St. Patty's Day, and I believe it's pronounced Connemara. Peated single malt Irish whiskey, original.
Nice.
And this became recommended from my local watering hole. His name is Mo, and he said, "I said I need a good Irish whiskey. What do you recommend?" And I'm sorry, I think it was his cousin or his brother-in-law. And he was just like, "Yeah, you need to try this. It's actually really good, and it's really affordable." And so I had it on St. Patty's Day. We had our neighbors over and we were all sipping on it. I've never really had peated whiskey before, and apparently it's like it's smoked, and so
Okay.
and it's like really, I couldn't believe how sweet and smooth it was for Irish whiskey. And so like like me and my neighbors, we polished over half the bottle, and it's really good. So I was kind of saving it for the rest of today. So,
Nice. Very nice. Well, I just smelled
delicious.
the cork,
Yeah.
and it smells amazing. So, David Barry just said he's drinking Monica's wine right now, so no whiskey. He said that's fine. That's fine. Wine is good too. I enjoy a good glass of wine.
Yeah, that's awesome. But, and then it looks like
I posted after.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you did. Okay,
that was me.
Nice.
I do that sometimes. I respond to people. So if you ask a question, I'll probably respond to you at some point. If we don't talk about it in the show, I usually try to respond to everybody, at least in the comments.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we try to pretty much mention it to everyone, right? Like, yeah. Hey, come watch us. Come join our show. Tell your friends about us.
Tell your friends. Tell them where they can find us, which we should probably talk about that real quick. So we did well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So you can find us on Facebook, which is where all of you are watching right now. Everybody's watching on Facebook at this very second. But you can also find us on YouTube as far as the video feed goes, and then on twitch.tv/WWAA35. And then we do some other things on Twitch as far as so we just did a dram style whiskey with an agent, and we actually just turned our Twitch on while we were recording that before we even got started, and we kind of do some chatting and everything, so you kind of get to see some behind the scenes if you go on to Twitch and get notifications when we go live. So and then as far as the audio side of it, Chris knows all about that, don't you?
The audio side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to school for music and sound technology.
I know.
I would say I know a little bit about audio. Just a little bit.
Oh, that is so good.
Yeah?
That is really good.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm happy.
Well, cheers.
Yes, cheers. Cheers to everybody that's watching. And well, let's get started. Because there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, there is.
David Barry, I said your name again. He got happy when I said his name.
So yeah, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of things that people don't know, and there's a lot of people that things assume. And so we're here to cover all of that.
Yes.
If anybody has any essentially questions, feel free to reach out into the chat.
I'm sure some of you have our phone numbers by this point, and then so you can send us a text if you have questions. If you're not watching the show live, if you're watching it live, shoot us a message in the comments there, and we'll get back to you. We'll respond either through talking, or I'll respond in the comments. And so yeah, make sure you ask some good questions. We're always curious to see what people think.
So one more thing, sorry.
What's that?
Just kind of reaching out to some people and some some friends and sellers that are coming up. So essentially, I know that's always a question that people want to discuss and talk about, is the commission aspect of things.
Right.
It's a very honest question, and it is. And I think it's one that every seller should absolutely be asking about.
Yeah.
But there's also need to have an open mind. That not every agent is created equal. There are part-timers, there are full-timers, there are people who've been in the game for 10 years but only do 1 or 2 deals a year.
Yeah.
Versus someone who's been in the game for 5 years and does, over $5 million a year. That's a really well-established agent. So
yeah,
we're going to cover statistics. We're going to cover misleading information, how the state of Florida operates on their terms of their commission, what is a standard, what is not, and then more. So what should be the first thing that
Well,
we kind of cover?
let's kind of just hit on exactly what the commission, what it means. Like, so when you go to sell your house, you're having to pay for different services. One of them being a real estate agent. If you choose to hire a real estate agent to sell your house, you're also paying for other services. Throughout the process, you're paying a brokerage or a lender or a mortgage broker to find a good mortgage for you and get your rate. So you're paying them some sort of fee. You're paying. So there's multiple different, there's different things that you're paying for throughout the process. We're talking about the real estate commission that goes towards when you're selling your house, that you're going to be paying to the actual brokerage. So Chris and I work for a brokerage. We're independent contractors. And so we work for under, the brokerage or with the brokerage, however you want to, classify it. We work with the brokerage. And so when you hire us, you're hiring the brokerage itself.
Yes.
And then when you pay the commission, you're paying that commission to the broker. And we're going to look at it a little bit more closely, but then the broker then pays us whatever we're due based on what agreement, and my agreement with the brokerage might be different, as far as what the split is, may be different than what Chris's is or what anybody. I mean, there's all kinds of different splits as far as what the agent and brokerage, what they get.
And as a seller, it's okay to ask these questions. Like anybody who's gets really standoffish regarding when it comes to money, and especially your money, that's kind of a red flag. You don't want someone who's going to be open and transparent with you. And we're going to provide you some real life examples, and even just how far and how much we actually walk away with. And it's not as much as you think. And also depending on how that lead came through. Is that a office generated lead where the average is 50-50 split? Just off the top, because he was like Jared was saying, you go in agreement as a seller with the brokerage, and then you get the agent. So whatever the broker and then the agent gets split, but if that lead came from the office themselves, if Jared was the broker of the brokerage and he assigns me a seller lead, I close that. Whatever that commission is, 50% of it automatically goes to Jared as the broker, and then I get essentially taken down from there, and it goes down. And by the time the money actually hits my pocket, it's honestly less already. If a full service agent does everything right that they're supposed to, we're actually walking away with less than 50% at the end of the day.
Yes. Yeah.
And we'll show you.
Exactly.
I'll show you. Every check that I get, if it's a full service, even with my commission splits high, I will actually walk away with actually money to play with is less than 50%. It's actually probably less than 20%, to be honest with you. And so we're going to cover that. So
so stay around till towards the end, because I'm going to go through an actual breakdown where we talk about an actual cost of the house, and then sort of break everything down as far as what you're actually paying for when you're giving that lump sum or that big commission.
Yep.
And
so that's pretty much one of the starts of misconceptions. So what is, everyone hears a standard 6%. Well, that's ridiculous. I should never pay that. It's well, hold on. You may think I'm getting 6%, but I'm not. So there is no standard. You can look it up on NAR, National Association of Realtors. There is no standard. There is a common. And in fact, the justice.gov, pretty much the United States Department of Justice, pretty much has a study here. Consumers save thousands in commissions, and he's saying that the full service average is 5.3%. So 5.3% in
5.3. Yep.
5.3. So that's not what a lot of people think. Whereas terms it's 6, or where even some of the lobbyists that are partnered with, say, Zillow, Redfin, and everything. Whereas if you sell your house to them and they buy it from you, they're charging upwards of 7 to 14% of total fees, which ultimately ends up just coming down to commissions anyways. So are you really saving money by going to a big tech company like Zillow or OfferPad or Open Door? Because they're flippers. Their job is to buy it low and then sell it high. and I bit Zillow in the ass. Little sidebar,
A little
but
bit.
yep. So how are you truly saving money? And we're also going to discuss for sale by owners too. So I don't know if do I have the ability to share my screen so I can show this
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
computer?
You can share your screen on there, and then I have to activate it once you do.
Okay.
While you're doing that, so yeah, the national average is about 5.3%. So that doesn't mean that you have to pay 6% or it's always going to be 4%. Or I mean, just like anything in real estate, when you're selling your house, everything is negotiable. Doesn't mean you're going to get the rate that you want, but you can definitely ask for whatever rate that you think you deserve or what you think is fair. Um, so it just depends on. Let me know when you're ready to share your screen.
Oh,
So it
I'm
just
sharing right now.
depends. Oh, okay. Here, I'll put it up there.
Okay, cool.
There we go. What you got?
So you want to finish your statement real quick?
So yeah, it basically I'm just saying that it is negotiable, but there is sort of a standard um, that we typically start, and it really depends on what that neighborhood is. Usually, the neighborhood that we're selling in dictates what the commission rate is going to be. If I'm going into a neighborhood and their standard, their normal commission rate is 6%, and I come in there, I'm only offering 4%, then that's going to that may cause some issues, or we're not going to sell the house as quickly because. So what happens is on that 6%. Typically, the buyer's agent is going to take half of that. So they're going to get 3%, and then your listing agent is going to get 3%. And so if I come in there and I'm taking 3%, and then I start offering like 1% to the buyer's agent, we might have an issue with the buyer because they may not want to show your house because they're not paying as much versus somebody else's house who's paying a little bit more to that buyer's agent. So it kind of
Yeah.
depends on.
Yeah, and that's unethical practices by a buyer's agent who does that, where they look at the dollar first. Okay, but when I'm gonna take a step back real quick because you said something that I actually completely disagree with, and it is essentially the market dictates the commission. I completely disagree with that. It is the seller. It's the agreement between the seller and
Right.
the listing agent, and ultimately the brokerage.
Right.
So.
No, I agree with that.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is in certain neighborhoods, the market is saying, when I say the market, people that are listing the home, that what they're saying is for this area, typically you're getting 2% on the buyer side, 2% on the seller side. For this other neighborhood, it's
Oh, I
typically it's
gotcha. Like
typically 3% and
3%.
3% or whatever. So I
Yeah.
can't go into a neighborhood that's normally a 6% total commission and think I'm going to do well and make, have a lot of buyers come through if I'm coming into a 6% neighborhood and I'm only offering 4%. That's
Yeah.
just it's people aren't going to be happy. Agents aren't going to be happy. They're not going to want to work with you as
Yeah.
much, and it
It's
doesn't do well for me. It makes me look bad because I'm undercutting what other agents should be getting, and if I do that a lot, then it could cause issues for my business.
I understand it completely what you're saying, but at the same time, it's just like you're a buyer's agent. You if you want to dictate the commission, be a listing agent. So
Right.
the fact that a buyer's agent is even getting paid by the seller to essentially negotiate against the seller is one of the reasons why the Department of Justice, the DOJ, has been investigating commissions in the first place
Mm-hmm.
recently. So I totally understand, and I see exactly where a seller's standpoint is.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if me as a listing agent comes in and says my fee is 3.5%, what
Right.
are willing to pay for a buyer's commission is totally up to you.
Right.
That statement right there is completely ethical.
Yes. Yeah,
Other
and it
agents might like
gives.
I had been cussed out by other agents because of that, and it's just
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry. I guess if you don't like it so much and you're threatening not to submit an offer, I guess you're acting unethically. Because at the end of
Very
the
true.
day,
Very true.
a seller who's selling, they have to go somewhere, whether it's downsizing, upgrading, or making a lateral move, whether it's by force or if they have to, a bright job. if what they're netting doesn't, if the market, if what they're trying to net and the market doesn't dictate that, there has to be some play on not only the listing agent but also the buyer's agent, who ultimately has no say whatsoever when it comes to commissions. So ultimately, like, I have taken my standard is, for my fee, is 3.5%, and then whatever a buyer's agent gets, because I've been on the opposite foot of that, to where
Right.
I only got $1,000 after my broker splits, after my gas, after taxes. I'm walking
Hmm.
away with like $200.
Right.
Tough
Doing
luck.
all doing all
If
the
I,
paperwork
yeah,
and
because
yeah.
that's how it goes sometimes. And ultimately, if my buyer was so happy with my experience and
Hmm.
I wasn't pussyfooting around or moping because I didn't get paid enough, then that buyer is not going to tell anybody about me,
Right.
because all I cared about was the dollar instead of their experience.
Right.
So again, if you don't like it, go be a listing agent.
Yeah.
So that's, I know we got kind of like on a little tangent there. And everyone's been staring at my screen.
No, well, no,
So,
I turned it
oh, you
off. So
did?
they've been,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, they've been
Um,
watching me. I'm like looking down and shit, thinking that they're staring at my screen.
no, 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 no. I turned it off a while ago.
Mm.
When look, man, I'm kind of like a producer on this show, so I kind of run things in the background, and you
I
may
like
not
it.
know it, but things go smoothly for a reason.
I like it. You're a good man. You're a
I
good
try.
man.
I try.
Hello, Lou. Thanks for joining. Hello, Jillian. Thanks for joining. So essentially, when it comes to the average commission as of right now, according to, can you share my screen?
I can.
Okay.
I can. There we go.
All right. So the Department of Justice, all right, consumers save thousands in commissions, and there's not just then one way to have an agent involved. There's actually multiple ways. So the average full service is 5.3. All
Hmm.
right, this is, of course, a broker's option potential savings for a home sold for 184,000. All right, so 5.3% on average. Then there's another type. There's a rebate broker. I'm not exactly sure how this is formulated for a buyer, but there are agents who take a discount, like it's called a 1% agents, to where a listing agent will list your house on the MLS for 1%, and then the buyer's agent will get 2.5 or 3%. And
Right.
they're all they do is just act as a limited service listing
Yes.
agent. All right.
Yep.
And there's different types of classifications of agents. There's full service, where if you want the agent to handle everything, Chris, Jared, please take this off my hands. Just call me with what to do, what's happening, and I'm good to go. Happy to pay the money. Do it.
Right.
And then that's what full service is. A limited listing agent, essentially, they're pretty much there to slap it up on the MLS, or like a fee for service MLS only. Essentially,
Hmm.
you take everything in control, and the only thing that you're really paying for is access and exposure to the buyers, which accumulates to 97% of buyers who are on the market looking to buy is online. So
Right.
you get that exposure, 97%. And the only thing you're doing is paying a buyer's agent to procure. All right.
Right.
So there's a way to save on that. And keep in mind that this right here was updated October 20th of 2020. So I'm telling you right now, real estate commissions did not go up this
No.
year since the
No.
start of the pandemic.
Surprisingly,
They
even
went
with
down.
yeah, they've gone
Okay.
down. So, and it's I kind of think it's gone down just because homes are selling a little bit quicker. So, and a lot of people are a little bit more reluctant to pay top end commissions because you list a home, it goes on the market, it sits there for 8 or 9 days, and then um, it's under contract.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thought. What do you think the part of the cause for why it's going down?
For the commissions on standard,
Yeah,
it's really, we are saturated with agents
yeah,
nationally. And
that's yeah.
especially depending on your market. In our market here in Central Florida, there's over 21,000 licensed real estate agents, and there's only at a given time now like 2,300 homes available for sale in our market. So
Hmm.
everyone is vying for a market share. So listing agents are making deals
Yep.
They are literally bending over and throwing away, um, everything that they have just for market share.
Right.
And so like 1% is becoming a very normal thing for listing agents, and
Hmm.
also buyers agents. When I first started 7 years ago, I saw 3% on every deal, and then I started seeing like 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Now,
Hmm.
3 out of 5 listings that I show are
Yeah.
2%. So that
Yep.
tells me that the listing agent just cut their shit,
Yep.
or there's a huge disparity. They're
Right.
taking 3 or 4%, and they're giving the buyer's agent 2. So it kind of goes back to what I said, because ultimately, I procured this seller. I've marketed this. I'm the one that's protecting this whole transaction.
Right.
You, buyer, are lucky to get paid.
Yep.
Buyer's agent. Okay.
And so you made a good point there. So when you're looking at commissions and your listing agent, so I mean we've talked about in previous episodes how when you're interviewing and hiring an agent, you need to interview them, you need to talk to several to make sure that you're going to be a good fit and
Mhm.
talk about commissions, talk about what services they're providing because what's going to happen at some point, and it may or may not be your house, but I've had houses that I've sold where I mean it not a nightmare to where we couldn't handle everything to make the deal go through. But man, and even the seller, he told me, he's like, man, you're really earning your commission on this one
Mhm.
because we ended up having an HOA issue. That had to be resolved, which postponed the closing. The buyers were getting a little, antsy about possibly backing out. So I had to come up with different solutions. We ended up having to do like a pre-occupant or a pre-closing lease option to where the buyers could go ahead and move in before we even close. So there was a lot of things, and I didn't get paid. There wasn't anything extra that I was getting paid. It was whatever I negotiated in the beginning, that commission rate that I was getting for listing the home. So I have to take in all those things into account when we're talking about listing your house. Is if everything goes fine and dandy and there's no issues and woohoo, I mean that's awesome. But man, when they start going sideways and I got to spend an extra 10, 20, 30 hours to make sure that this deal goes through and hopefully I can hold everything together, then yeah, I mean that's worth the extra compensation. That's
Yeah.
where that commission rate is
Well,
coming from.
yeah. And the way I also explain this to some sellers who are hammering and negotiating and trying to understand the whole commissions and everything like that. So here's what I say: like, if you have uh, a matter of like a surgical, like a doctor's issue, and they need to have emergency surgery, do you want a discount doctor, or are you willing to pay for a true professional, a true badass, to make
Right.
sure it's done? All right.
Right.
When you go to a court in front of a judge, do you want a badass lawyer or do you want a public defendant? No offense to public defendants, but like just kind of for the sake of it, are you going to pay for the top person to make sure you don't see the light at jail, or are you going to go with someone who, or go with, like, again, like a public defender or someone who's got bad reviews and doesn't know what the fuck
Right.
they're doing? All
Right.
right. Real estate is the same way. Like, if you are a seller and you made it from the start to the finish with no hiccups, your realtor did a good job
Yes.
because there were no issues whatsoever.
Right.
All
Yep.
right. If you're paying for a full service and they're just effing up to galore, then you could say you paid too much for that agent because they were an idiot.
Right.
All right. They didn't know what the
Yep.
hell they were doing. And in that
Yep.
case, you also had to kick yourself in the foot because you probably hired your friend who didn't know anything, or someone who's new who doesn't have the experience. Like,
Right.
anyone who's starting out needs experience, but they also need to learn from those experiences as well.
Right.
So, but if you're
Exactly.
trying to get this done with as little headache as possible, hire a full service agent and
Hmm.
pay them what they're due,
Right.
because I'm a full service agent. I do take some cuts depending on the seller situation. Because again, if they if they have a very tight narrow and say, Chris, like, we just bought our home a year ago. Now I have to move for work. I have to sell this house. Well, I said, okay, just so you know, be prepared to break even.
Right.
So
Yes.
that means I'm taking a hit, the buyer's agent is taking a hit, and the seller just wants to break even.
Right.
All right. So there's some things to that.
Yep.
You know, another thing that I believe that is driving the price down or commissions down is also seller's greed. Not listing agents or not realtor greed, seller's greed. In the past year, on average, for the nation, if you owned a home, you saw about a $55,000 equity jump in 1 year.
Yeah.
On average.
Yeah.
All right. I have a friend. She's looking to sell. Her and her husband are looking to sell and move to another location. They bought the home in 2020, or actually no, 2021, and they're already looking at I think it was close to 100K, 100K worth of equity in a matter of like 6 to 8 months.
Right.
So if you are going to gripe over commission, you're greedy at that point. You're greedy.
Yeah.
So like, that's just it. And if you're going to get what you pay for it, because expensive is cheap and cheap is expensive. And you're going to pay for it with headaches. You're going to pay for it with buyers constantly backing out because your listing agent didn't properly vet them.
Right.
And on top of that, you're going to have to continue to go back on market. On market. You're going to be frustrated all hell, all because you decided to go with a 1% agent limited service instead of paying someone a full service.
Right. Yeah, so, it's kind of like buying insurance, man. When you don't have that insurance and something goes wrong, you really wish you had that insurance. So when something goes wrong, you have a crappy agent, you're wishing that you would have just spent the extra, 1% or 2% or whatever and hired somebody good. And so here's one thing I get a lot is, it's kind of like a sticker shock when they see the actual number. So, I mean, Chris and I talk in percentages because that's what commissions are. They're a percentage of the purchase price of the home. So, we're talking 4%, 5%, 6%. So it's sort of a small number, but the sticker shock comes in when people start actually doing the math and they look at, for example, like a $300,000 house and a 6% commission is $18,000. They're like,
yeah, they get shocked. Yeah, they're shocked. Make no mistake,
like,
as a seller.
Yeah,
make no mistake, as a seller, like I said this before, like your business biggest expense is the commissions. You know what the buyer's biggest expense is? Down payment, closing costs, and all the other fees that come with it, inspections, appraisal.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have the lender fees, you have the title fees. Oh, by the way, if there's a realtor representing the buyer, there's a real estate transaction fee.
Right.
So your expense as a seller could be easily compared to as a buyer. So just keep that in mind. And again, it kind of goes back to the whole grade thing. It's a sticker shock. And so continue to pick up from that.
It is. So it's I'm not going to get into the actual breakdown just yet, but but that is that's one thing that I get that a lot, when people start looking out, they actually look at the numbers and, I'm paying $18,000, $20,000. Like, holy crap. I thought I was going to make some money on the house. I can't imagine spending that much. And part of that problem is when Chris and I have to go talk about commissions with a person wanting to sell their home, we're the ones, most people, and we have to explain, most people are like, why am I paying you $18,000? So let's clear that up real quick, because you're not paying Chris or I, the listing agent, $18,000. And like I said, we're going to get to the breakdown here in a little bit, but I just want to throw this out there is because I get this a lot when I talk to people that are listing the house. I'm not taking the full $18,000. So it's a sticker shock, but it's being divided up in ways that is going out you're essentially paying for all the service. You're paying for the buyer services, you're paying for the listing services, you're paying for a lot of different things that come with selling your house. So it's just part of selling the house. And like Chris said earlier, commissions have actually gone down a little bit. They haven't been going up, they've been going down.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. And I was actually trying to find a stat for the latest of what right now real estate commissions are, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know if they haven't really finished the reporting yet. Because when NAR releases these reports, it's not some small percentage of people that take a small sample group. It's a very large sample group. I get surveys emailed to me all the time from NAR, and even our local board, Aura. So, it's gone down a lot significantly because of this pandemic. Market share for businesses such as myself, you,
Right.
other heavy hitters that are out there, we're all taking a massive hit right now. There's and if someone who's new trying to get into this game, you know what the median is right now for anybody who's who's 2 years in the business. It's actually Jared and I just pulled it up. It's roughly $8,000. Yeah, here it is. Actually, can I share my screen so people can see it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. We see your question. Hold on one second. Just want to get my point across before I forget it. I'm sorry.
Don't forget it.
Don't forget it.
Should I play some more music while we're waiting? Oh, there we go.
Here we go. All right. So this is from NAR. All right. National Association of Realtors. Highlights for NAR's member, right? So right here, income and expenses. Okay. So right here, realtors with 16 years or more experience had a median gross income of $75,000. That's down damn near 10 grand, a little over 10 grand from 2019. Compared to realtors with 2 years or less experience had a median gross income of $8,500. That is also down from 2019. And I'm telling you right now, that has gone down even more. Okay.
Yes.
So to think that realtors are paid too much is ludicrous. There's a reason why the turnover rate for realtors is so high. And it's also one of the reasons why there are so many complaints about realtors. And the realtors and agents are two different people. All right.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm going to make that clear as well.
Yes.
So we don't make nearly as much as you think. The people who do make a lot of money are the ones who've been in this long enough and have who have the experience, the credentials, and the business mindset to be able to handle it. Everyone else, part-timer, everyone else ain't going to make it past year 3, 80%. And if they make it to year 5, 80% of that will fall out too.
Yes.
Okay? So let's address Lou's question. Do you receive your full commission as the buyer's agent when the seller has a bargain basement broker?
What do you mean? What do you mean by a bargain basement broker? Are you talking about like someone who just sort of discounts?
Yeah, so I guess like a 1% listing agent, and then the buyer gets a full 2.5 or 3%, Lou. So let's see what he says for that. Yeah. But if that's the theory, if that's the way we're reading it, it's really just depends on how it's structured. I want to bring up the listing agreement for Florida and actually go over that. That's it. Okay. Yeah. So yes. So 1% agents, their whole thing is like, I'm a 1% agent, but you still have to pay a buyer's agent, which is commonly 2.5%. I've never seen 3 with that. And the thing is, they'll even say it on the MLS under the realtor remarks, which is a confidential box for realtors only, and it will say limited service, contact seller. So that means the seller has pretty much hired this person to do nothing but slap it on the MLS. So essentially, we still get our 2.5, rarely 3 of it, but we'd have to get close. So essentially, we're the ones steering the ship at that point as a buyer when you're dealing with a limited service, because that realtor, you will never be able to get a hold of them.
No,
I've called those agents; it goes straight to voicemail, emails, nothing. So,
and that's one thing I wanted to. I wanted to talk about, and I'm not going to name the names of the companies, but there's some of those big companies that offer, the 1%. Hey, list your house for 1%, or there's one of them in particular. We'll do 1% if it sells for under 350. If it sells for more than that, or no, it was a flat rate under 350, and then over 350, it was a 1% kind of deal. So list your house. And what you got to be careful with that is, yeah, I mean, it sounds good. They're going to list your house, but so when you read the reviews about this company, or when you read how this company survives, is they're doing these 1%, but they're doing volume. They're able to do a lot of 1%. So you're going to be one of maybe 100 homes that they're listing in your area or around you, or that they're dealing with at any given time. So that's going to be the biggest difference. So just like Chris said, when you go to call these people, you're probably calling an 800 number. You're going to go through computerized prompts, and then eventually, after you've been on hold for 5 or 10, 20 minutes, you're going to talk to somebody, and then, if whatever question you had, if it's irrelevant by that point, maybe you had a buyer that was trying to ask you something, and you didn't know what the answer was, or how to find the information, so you had to call. Yeah, you're going to end up having a hard time. So just be wary of those 1% type companies because and they're probably not going to do, they'll advertise doing, good photos and things like that, but sometimes they start throwing in little extra fees like, oh, hey, we were just going to list it for you, but oh, you want good photos? That's going to be an extra $500. Oh, you want this? You want us to take care of the contract? Okay, yeah, that's going to be an extra $500. Yeah.
You want to
Go ahead. No. That was pretty much it.
Okay. I was going to say, I have a client right now who had a listing agent who was shady as hell. So Lou, check this out. So they're selling their house. And luckily it finally closed. They had their house. They were selling it with like a 1%er. And down south. And the agent pretty much 1%, 2.5 to the buy. It came to a point when they were finally under contract that it was obvious that the listing was going to fall apart. $15,000 was in escrow. The agent put in the listing. The listing agent put it in the listing agreement, because it is an actual section, to retain 50% of the deposits. So the deal falls through. The agent gets $6,000. Now they're under contract again. This time, $20,000 deposit. Shit starts getting really rocky at the end. They're like less than a week away from closing. The buyers can't really source the funds, or whatever the case may be. It was, and that little blip in the listing agreement, retention of 50% of the deposit. So that listing agent, who has all the motives in the world to say, hey, I'll do 1%, but I'm going to go ahead and take 50% of your deposits. And I might lean towards agents that I know will fall through and take the deposit. And we'll do this 2-3 times until I get enough money that would have paid for my commission anyways, because I'm a piece of shit.
Right.
So I saw that and I couldn't believe it.
That's insane.
I told my clients, I was just like, listen, you need to contact this broker right now. You need to freaking get that reneged hard.
Yes.
And absolutely hard. And luckily, because the agent was pushing for them to cancel. They were telling me that their agent was pushing them to cancel the deal so he could take that additional $10,000. And it was already a $700,000 property. And it's just like, you're a goddamn thief. You're a completely unethical thief. And on top of that, their listing agreement was not even complete. There were a box not checked. It wasn't even fully executed by the broker.
I run into that quite a bit.
I was just like, Jesus Christ, this guy needs to be reported so badly. And so it's luckily the deal went through, and they pretty much wiped their floor with him in terms of like reviews and stuff like that. So there are now some unethical people practicing unethical shit. If there's a will, there's a way.
Oh yeah, so definitely. Yeah. So I mean, the long story short, just be wary of, it looks good on paper, the 1% kind of deal or discounted listings and or discounted commission fees and things, but
Mhm.
just be very careful. I mean, it always holds true if it's too good to seem, if it's too good to be true. If it looks too good to be true, then it's probably not a good deal. So, I mean, just always don't get sold by the numbers. It's kind of like,
You
you
honestly
go
get
into,
what you pay for. I'm telling you,
yeah,
you get what you pay for.
yeah, yeah, and
And if
that's
you already have a disparity towards agents, I'm sorry, Jared, to cut you off again. If you already have a disparity towards agents and you go and look for a 1% agent and you end up having a bad
a bad
experience,
experience. Yes.
you literally caused your own fucking headache at that point.
Yep.
All right. So,
Yep.
if I'm sorry to cut you off, Jared. What
No,
were you gonna say, brother?
I don't even remember now. You keep
Okay.
cutting me
I'm
off,
sorry. I
man.
keep cutting you off,
No, I'm
man. I'm
just
sorry.
kidding.
Like, I get so passionate about this job in this industry. I love it so much. I like to address Victoria in chat's question. They've been
Okay.
waiting patiently. What are your thoughts on the lawsuits in Congress right now about making a change to sellers not paying buyers agents? Question mark. And buyers having the right to negotiate their own. So buyers agents, I would imagine what you mean is having to negotiate your own. Honestly, it makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense to me why a seller should not be having the should have the right to not pay a buyer's agent. Now, keep in mind, it's easy for me to say that. For the past 5 out of 7 years, um, 80 to 95% of my business were buyers. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still a buyer's agent. Last
Right.
year, I finally hit 60-40 in terms of listing to buyers. And right now, 80% of my business as of right now that I've closed so far this year have been buyers. And this is
Mm-hmm.
coming from a buyer's agent. All right. It makes completely sense for a seller to not have to pay me. They just have the most to spend and gain.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
Buyers are already forking up down payment,
Yep.
already forking up. So $300,000. So if they did say 5%, that's 16 grand or so right
Right.
there. All right.
Just on the down payment.
Just on the down payment. Then they have closing costs, which is roughly about 2.5 to 4.5%. So
Mm-hmm.
that's taxes, setting up the escrow account,
Mm-hmm.
appraisal,
Yep.
inspections. If there's
Yep.
an HOA, good luck if
Yep.
there's capital contribution,
Right.
and closing costs and all that sense. So
Mm-hmm.
they're having the most to spend. So if a buyer's agent, if a buyer is going to pay a buyer's agent, where are they going to get that money? Not
Right.
everyone has that. All right.
Right.
Especially at the lower levels where people can only afford about $150,000 house. Where
Yep.
the fuck are they going to get $6,000 or
It's
like $5,000? It's not happening.
it's gonna make it would make it so much harder for people to
Mhm.
buy a house, to be able to afford to buy a house. I mean, most people have a hard enough time just saving up for a down payment, let alone and all the fees and taxes and
Yeah.
closing costs, let alone trying to pay another $10,000 or whatever it might be to for a commission.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but on the flip side, when that buyer buys the home and then they eventually sell the home,
Mhm.
guess what? Now it's their turn to pay that commission. So it kind of goes in the cycle where the seller, the buyer's not paying it right now, but eventually when he goes to sell the home, or she, when they go to sell the home, they're going to pay that commission. So they're going to pay it at some point, as long, once they sell the home. So that's, yeah. And I know a lot of people, they don't really think about it that way. It's like, just like, the buyers, or they're not paying anything for the commission, but eventually they do
Mhm.
when they sell
Did
the house.
Did you know that there's a lot of countries where the buyers pay for both sides of the real estate commission?
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, buyers pay for all the commission." I was just like, "That's wild," because it makes sense from here how we do it. Because again, the seller has the most to gain. All right, they have like the least amount of closing costs. All right, when they're paying off their mortgage, that's the mortgage, but the net equity of it. Right now, everyone like who bought a house in the past year, myself included, we're
Yeah.
sitting on 50K plus of equity. Anybody who's been sitting on their house for the past, 5, 10 years are sitting on gold right now.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's really is amazing. So that, again, like this is where they have the most to gain from a seller. And so therefore it makes sense when this was all established for sellers to pay for the commissions.
Yes.
But again, it's just like, how are buyers going to do that? So what's going to happen? There's so many theories. Big tech companies are involved right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing everything they can to eliminate buyers agents. So the best way to do that is to attack commissions. And what they're saying is like, well, we don't do commissions. No. We have fees. All right, they're different. This is a cleaning fee. This is a whole fee. This is a processing fee. This is a fee. This is a fee for breathing. This is a fee for having us to come out here.
Call it what you want.
Call it what you want. All right, and it equates to about 7 to 14%. It takes a lot of digging to find out what their fees are for some of these, and by the time you actually realize what's going on, you're already signed in. And let me tell you, these agreements are one-sided. Listing agreements are not one-sided. They're 100%. You as a seller can cancel any agreement with your listing agent and fire them on the spot. All right, you just got to make sure you know what you're signing, because there are protection periods within the listing agreement.
Right.
Florida's listing agreement is very, very neutral. It doesn't favor one side or the other.
Right.
So when it comes to this, my projection is a little side topic again to the whole DOJ. They're going to come back. Zillow's fall was a beautiful sign, but it only prolonged the inevitable. Real estate agents are going by the wayside. We're going to be gone in about 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So that's my projection.
Yeah.
And those who survive are only going to be listing agents. There are many big companies right now, such as Redfin, who are paying real estate agents a salary.
Yes. Yeah. So
a salary.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I get to sell homes and get guaranteed pay with health insurance benefits. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Right. And it's going to go that route. And again, like, there's going to be no personability though. There's going to be
that
zero.
Personalized service is going to be gone.
1-800 number. You have an issue that desires now attention.
Yep. Guess where your call service is going to go
when you call service.
Yes.
All right.
You call that 800 number, you're getting somebody
so,
that's not from around here.
just like your lawyer. If you're paying like $1,000 a minute for a good damn lawyer, damn well you're gonna call and he's gonna pick up, because he knows damn well how much he's being paid right now.
Exactly.
All right. So Lou knows it. When I see his number call, I'm just like, "What's up, Lou?
What's up, Lou?"
I know.
Nice.
I know what's up. He knows what's up.
So let's get into. So a lot of people want to know, like, well, how, they want to try to save on some of those commissions, So then they go into for sale by owner. Okay, so for sale by owner basically. What's that? Yeah, exactly. So basically what that means is, if you own a house and you have the right to sell it on your own, you don't have to hire an agent to sell it. You can do the entire process on your own. However, you have to know that there are legalities. So when you sell your home, there are a lot of legal things that you have to be aware of when it comes to all the contracts, the disclosures that you do. So this isn't a for sale by owner podcast, or we're not, this isn't the topic for tonight, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what it takes to sell your own house. So there's a lot of things that actually go into it. And you're thinking that, well, hey, I can just sell it on my own and I don't have to pay any commissions.
You think that?
If that's the case, so, and I always like these sayings, if it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy to sell your own house, don't you think everybody would be selling their own house? Mm-hmm. Of course, why not? I mean, that would be the easiest thing to do. I save money. I don't have to pay the 6% commission. I don't have to pay the $20,000 in commissions, and I get to sell it. Sure, why not? It sounds easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Far
from it. So what's going to happen? So the most you're going to save is obviously you could luck out. Maybe you have, and actually have doing the paperwork only. It was some friends of mine that I was going to list their house, but then they ended up finding some buyers. They were looking at a house across the street. They knew that my friends, they knew that they were going to be selling their house. So they said, hey, this one's already being, it's already taken off the market. Can we buy your house? We know you're going to be selling it here in the next month. Can we buy it? So technically, he did a for sale by owner. He found his own, he procured his own buyer. Now he hired me to do all of to handle all the paperwork because there's a lot of paperwork that has to be done. And he didn't want to deal with all the liabilities of being or being liable for something he may miss, such as a seller's disclosure or marking the wrong box on a contract or something, whatever the case may be. So he still had a little bit of an expense, but in his case, he saved a lot on commissions. That's a pretty rare thing that happens. You don't just, if you don't just randomly, magically find somebody when you go put your house up for sale as a for sale by owner, a FSBO, and think that you're going to get some random phone call from somebody that wants to buy your house. It rarely happens.
Yeah. But right now, the way this market is, and last year, for sale by owners were definitely getting bombarded, and they were actually getting quite a bit of, action just because of inventory so short. All right.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, we are the biggest advocates. Jared and I are the biggest advocates for being able to sell your home on your own.
Absolutely.
If you wanted to do that, if you have the experience. If you don't have the experience and you have a friend who's doing this, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody for consulting. All right. I have been plenty of consulting when it comes to that. And I was just like, hey,
definitely.
Here's the paperwork. And ultimately they'll come back and be like, hey, can you help me out with this paperwork? I was like, okay, but if I start getting involved, like I'm going to start, this is time. Okay. I want you to be able to understand it, but this is my time. I'll just do the paperwork for like a 1% or a flat rate, like $500, whatever it is,
right.
and then here's just like a commission agreement. It's simple. So, but if you're trying to do it on your own, there is so much legalities that could be involved because think about it. The median house right now is like $345,000. That's a lot of freaking money. And if you start committing unwittingly errors that cost thousands of dollars worth of damage to the buyer, then you're gonna get locked out. Or if you decide to change your mind at the last minute, well, what if that buyer was moving from Texas or California or New York?
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars just in moving expenses.
Right.
Where are they gonna go now?
Yes.
Well, guess what? You're gonna face a lawsuit because they're gonna force you to sell.
Right.
Oh, they can't do that. Believe me, they can and they will.
Yes.
So it's imperative to have some kind of representation on your side. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's imperative that you get some kind of representation.
And the reason we're talking about, the reason we're Chris was kind of going into that because you really want to get an idea of what that risk is when you're trying to save a little bit on your commissions. So when you're trying to save that, you save yourself from getting that sticker shock of, man, I got to pay $20,000 for commissions. That's outrageous. However, you may end up spending $50,000 in court fees and legal fees and lawyer fees when you don't check the right box. And it could be just as simple as that. You didn't check the right box, and then all of a sudden things take a turn and you didn't realize it. And now you're I hate to say it, but you're screwed. You
are, because the damage is done.
It is.
All right. And especially if you're like doing outdated contracts, or like I was a contract like 10 years ago. So congratulations, you're out of date.
Right.
Because you haven't been doing anything. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you are out of date. You are not up to speed. It tells me you haven't seen the new 2021 4-bar contract. Or the as-is contract. You don't know how today's standards change. You don't know how the market industry changes on a regular basis. Every single year, there's an amendment to the contract.
Yes, there is. There was one. That's one of them that we're gonna go over on one of our episodes. Is the new as-is contract. There's some changes.
Yep, there's some crazy changes.
There is.
It's kind of like. But October 2021 was the latest revision of the contract. So every year, it changes. And the reason why this happens is because there are just lawsuits after lawsuits that occur every single year,
Yes.
and they change things.
Yeah.
And it's for the better.
It
It's
is.
always for the better.
It
Okay.
is. Let's go back to FSBO. So I mean,
Yes, I have the
talking
screen.
about.
I have the screen if you want me to pull it up.
Oh
The
yeah, if you
stats on the FSBO.
yeah,
So
if you got
here's
it up.
uh-huh.
So when you get it up there, I'll activate it. But so for FSBO, so yes, if you find your own buyer, then you don't have to pay a buyer's agent. So you've saved yourself the full, let's just call it, the 5.3%, since that's the national average. So you saved yourself 5.3% commission. But when you have a buyer's agent bring you a buyer, you're going to have to pay that buyer's agent something, and it's probably going to be in line somewhere between 2 or 3%. So now you're starting to have to pay a commission. So the 2 or 3% at listing as a for sale by owner, there's still things that you have to do with your home. You've got to get photos, you've got to get some video done. So when I list a home, I mean, I probably do $800 worth of, $800 to $1,000 worth of digital assets, as far as photos and video and things like that, because I do it on my own. So I can come in and I do everything. I don't have to budget myself when it comes to marketing, that kind of stuff. So, or when it comes to hiring people to do that, I can do it myself. Mm-hmm. So as a for sale by owner, if you don't know how to do that, that's an added expense. Yep. You're going to have, so again, it's not something that you're just going to save the full amount of commission. Let's look at what Chris has up here real quick.
All right. So just so people know, I didn't make this up. So
right.
So National Association of Realtors, November 11, 2020, real estate quick stats. Come down here to, there's the buyer, there's the seller, there is for sale by owners. All right. So for sale by owners accounted for 7% of the homes sold in 2020. The typical for sale by owner sold their home for $260,000 compared to the $318,000 for agent assisted home sales. How much does that accumulate there, Jared? Is that 50? What is that? 58,000 or 60,000?
Yeah, it was $58,000 difference. So essentially, you're selling. So FSBO's sold their homes for about $260,000 if they do it by themselves. Mm-hmm. With agent assisted, $318,000.
Yeah. So if you do the math on that, quite literally, so 318, and let's just say it's a full 6%, right? So that's $19,080. You were so scared to sell to spend $19,000 that you lost over $50,000.
Yeah, because you didn't do the market research and figure out what to list your home, and it's no fault of yours in particular. It's usually just because when you're listing your home, you don't have those resources, you don't have that knowledge of how to go in there and really analyze the market and figure out what price point you should put your house on the market for. And what happens is, generally speaking, statistically speaking, when you list yourself or when you list your home on your own, you end up listing it for about $58,000 less. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, yes, you're saving on your 6% commissions, but my goodness, that's bad at business. That's bad at business.
Very bad business.
That's bad at business.
Usually, like for sale by owners, also, they just had a bad taste in their mouth from the last agent that they had. And said, "F this, I can do everything that they did." Well, obviously not, because 34% did not actively market their home. The yard sign was all that they did. They told their friends and relatives and neighbors, 23%. Multiple listing service websites, so essentially the limited service, 18%. Social networking, barely. Hey, my house is for sale. An open house, barely. Online classified advertisements. It's like, people, 97% of buyers are online. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You literally did nothing with that. and all
Right.
that's really all you needed to do. Was just go to multiple listing services, right? Website, online classified advertisements, video, nothing. This is something that we do. That's standard. Virtual tours. That's standard. For sale
Yes.
by owner websites, 2%. Newspaper advertisement. We do all of this and more. Wow, someone actually marketed their house
On TV.
That's
Nice.
interesting. Most
Nice.
difficult
Lot of.
tasks for
I
FISBO
bet it was a
sellers.
Super Bowl commercial.
It's probably come take a look at my multi-million-dollar
I
mansion
just
in
I just spent
California.
$1 million to sell a $1 million house.
Quite literally. So the most difficult task for FISBOs to do: preparing and fixing up a home for sale. And you know that is a very real and unfortunate scenario for a lot of people, is that they don't have the money to fix up the house. So because they know that they can't fix up the house, it's in shit condition. So they're going to do for sale by owner because they can't afford commission, they can't afford the top
Hmm.
dollar, and they're just like upside down. So there is a sad, unfortunate reality that we can't ignore. Not
Right.
everyone is in equity. Not everyone can afford,
Yeah.
The Porsche of realtors and stuff like that, the Lamborghini or the Ferrari of realtors. I get that, um, but it doesn't mean that you can't ask for help. All right, that's the biggest
Correct.
thing. We want you to help because the good realtors will guide you and do everything that they can to help you be as strong as possible, even if
Yes.
like your house is in disparity.
Hmm.
Um, And it doesn't mean that like you can't reach out to someone and say, "Hey, listen, I have a piece of shit. Do you know an investor that would like this?" Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like let's see what we can do for you. There's always a will and there's a way.
Right.
Getting the right price, 14%, obviously, because they don't they look on Zillow and Zillow is tainted. And they
Yes.
always think that their house is worth more. It's like, yeah, we had our house down from the 80s. Like, yeah, it very much looks like the 80s. Welcome to the 21st century. Like, it's not gonna. So they think it's higher because it meets the rest of the neighborhood that's it's updated. Like, meanwhile, their house has seashell sinks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like that's a thing here in Florida. You
It
come across
is.
that from the 80s and the 90s homes, especially
Or
the
you have an
big ones.
entire room that's painted in like that
Yeah.
orange coral color.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
I've
I
seen
understand
condos like that.
performing yeah, all the time.
Yes.
And actually, like, people trying to get the 800 to 600 to $1 million homes where they did no upgrades to their house and is still living in the 80s. Understanding performing paperwork, 11%. That's a big one because that can set you up for a lawsuit.
Yes.
A
Yep.
lawsuit. And it's going to cost you more than what a commission would have been.
Yep. And it
Selling
can
within planned length of time.
hang on. I want to go back to that one. So, and
Oh,
that
okay.
can also, so aside from the lawsuit, you can actually screw yourself out of money
Mm-hmm.
if you're not understanding. So if a buyer submits an offer and they try to sneak something in there and you're not familiar with the contracts and where to look and how to interpret these things, you may end up paying some sort of concession or buyer
Mm-hmm.
closing costs
Yep.
or something like that you didn't really realize because you didn't know the contract. So that's why it's really important to either, if you're going to go at it alone, study those contracts and really figure out what they mean, what they're saying, and what is, what should be there and what should not be there. So you
Yep.
don't end up, messing up later. Not that it's going to open up a lawsuit, but it's going to cost you money in the way of you might have a higher purchase price, but you're giving back on the back end
Mm.
because you didn't realize what the buyer's agent had put in. And there's buyer's agents that know that when somebody's listing as a for sale by owner, they know this, and they might try to sneak something in there and
Yep.
say, they're not going to notice, they're not going to find it, and it could happen.
Mhm.
So again, saving on those commissions start adding up
Yeah,
when
it
you do
really
that.
does because it also helps set the proper expectations. It really does. It's like when you are, when you are represented by a listing agent, we're gonna go ahead and tell you like everything that's gonna happen, could happen, and essentially the paperwork that's involved with it. Like if you know that you have some elements in the house that could be potential issues, essentially a good listing agent will see that before the listing and say, hey, listen, just so you know, this might become an issue or this will be an issue coming up. All right. So when we go through the inspection, let's we have to tell the buyer because that's like one law too. Like you have to, um, under the seller property disclosure of the contract,
Right.
you have to disclose that like, hey, this is a material fact that's not readily observable by the buyer. All right. So we have to tell them that we know this is occurring and see how they react. So here are the possible outcomes that they would may ask you for a concession. They may ask you to fix it and replace it.
Right.
Okay. I understand you don't have any money, or you don't want to fix that. You shouldn't have to fix that. Well, if it's an insurance issue, because in Florida, insurance is a huge fucking thing right now, seller.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an AC system that's from the 90s. It's completely out of whack. It's not hasn't been serviced by your tenants in the past 18 years or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So your HVAC system is going to be a red flag for an insurance company.
Yes.
And when it comes back, don't be surprised. And then what happens in 2 weeks? Here comes the buyer. Hey, we can't get in home insurance because the AC is out of it's done. It's dead. It's a dead AC. Like, what are you going to do, seller? Now you're in a position to where you got to replace it. If you want to sell, replace it. So, and if you're for sale by owner, you're going to get hit so hard with this that, especially if you don't know this,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get hit so hard, you're gonna think that this person's trying to con you, and it just doubles down your efforts that like this is why agents are bad.
Right.
Like it's like this is a perfectly good working AC. Meanwhile, you have it set for 75 and it's blowing out 90. So
Here's 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 another way to look at it. How well do most people do when they go to buy a car? How well do they do at the negotiation? They think they do good, but
some
when
are really good. I'm shit. I'm so bad at it.
right, but that's what I'm saying is those car salesmen, that's their job is to sell you a car. You came in there not looking for a car. They're there to sell you a car at the highest price that they can. When that so look at that, when you're selling your house on your own, that buyer's agent's coming in there to try to buy that house for as low as he can for his clients. And he's the salesman. He's the one that's going to start hitting you up for all these different things. And like I said, at the beginning, you're like, hey, I'm going to do this because I'm going to save on commissions. Well, you've already, statistically, you've already listed your house for $58,000 less or somewhere in that range less than what you should have. So you're already in the hole. Then you still had to buy your photos. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No,
Oh, okay.
I was
I thought you were.
by my ear.
I
Like these
thought you were
things,
giving me
after a
some
while,
signal
they
or
become
something.
quite like, ugh.
Oh, I gotcha.
I don't
So
know.
you still got to do all the marketing. You still got to get your photos, and you still got to do all that. And then so you've already listed it for less. You still got to get your photos. Then you got to start worrying about all the paperwork and the liabilities and everything that go with it. And then you have an agent that's going to come in who does this for a living and then start hitting you up on every little detail and try to nitpick and nickel and dime everything and sneak things into the contract. And not that it's, not illegal things, but sneak things in there that he thinks that you're not going to really notice and you're just going to glaze over. And then, so you're losing out more and more and more unless you're just really astute and know what's going on. Or again, and I think if you go back and watch any of the shows, I think Chris and I usually say at least once or twice, if you don't know, call an agent.
Yep.
Just get I mean, we're not going to charge you just to pick up the phone. Just call and ask us a question, send us a text or whatever. It's not a big deal. I mean, when I get a text, I'm like, oh, cool. Somebody reached out to ask me a question. I like it.
Yeah.
So
believe me, we like good agents like being asked questions because we love talking about real estate. All right.
yeah,
I
and it
mean
keeps
that.
us on our toes.
Yes, exactly.
It does.
It really does. And so like we ask it, and we might pride is because we just want we want to earn your business. So like, don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to tell the truth. My God, the biggest complaint that we have is communication. But a lot of times when you're just inquiring, it's not two-sided. You know, You just want to be able to get the information without having to answer any questions back. So it's like, you be transparent, because at the end of the day, if you're not signing anything, you're not committed to anything. It's okay.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask questions, but also don't be afraid to be questioned back, and just tell them, like, hey, listen, I'm thinking about selling. I don't know if I want to sell or if I should rent. Like,
Yeah.
ask questions.
None of that stuff, none of that costs you any money. Just like I said, and I like it if you go back and listen to our other shows, whether it's audio like on Spotify or something, or on the video, I'm pretty sure we say a couple times in most of our shows, just reach out. If you have a question, just ask. It's not a big deal. It doesn't cost you anything. Use us as a resource. Think of us as a friend. Whatever helps it. Whatever makes it easier for you to just send us a text. I mean, that's probably the easiest thing you could do, or send us an email or Facebook message, or it doesn't matter. Just don't not reach out to somebody if you're going to go at this alone.
You have to. You can't. Like, you cannot afford it, liability wise or just money wise. All right.
Yep.
Be smart. Be business-like. What do successful business people do? Oh, right. They hire people.
Right.
They hire people who are smarter to them than that field. Like, we have CPAs, because I don't know how to do fucking like taxes. Like, now that I'm married, I really don't know how to do taxes. So like, if you don't know, I don't know how to mechanic. I mean, I know the basics, but I'm going to go to mechanic. I don't know how to do self-surgery. I'm going to go to a doctor. I don't know how to defend myself in court. I'm going to go ahead and hire a lawyer. Same thing with selling your house. I commend you if you want to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it, spend the money. Okay.
Yes.
Hire a good agent. All right.
Yep. And it's like I said, you're
enough.
when we say you're spending the money, you're really not spending that much extra compared to everything that is already going on through the transaction and everything. So it's when you see that actual price, the $18,000, the $20,000, the $30,000, it's yes, it is a lot of money, but when it comes to the home that you're selling, and so if you look at businesses, agents are here. We're not here to sell your house. We're here to market your house to potential buyers, right? So go look at what businesses, what they spend on marketing and things like that. Most businesses will spend somewhere, some of them spend a whole lot of money, some of them not as much, but they're, some of the stats I saw, if you took like 10% of your revenue, that's what a business will spend when they're marketing to consumers. So they'll spend about 10% of their entire revenue. So if they make $500,000 for the year, guess how much they're spending? They're spending $50,000 on marketing. So you have to look at the sale of your home as a business transaction, because essentially it is. There's legalities to it. There's other parties involved and everything. There are emotions to it, but you have to look at it as a business transaction. And the way that you do that is you go, what's going on?
Not me.
No. Somebody walked in. I was,
so you were on a good tangent, man.
I know, man. It like totally threw me off. That's all right. So yeah, businesses. And so when you're selling your home, man, I totally lost my train of thought now.
Oh man.
No, I got it. So look at it as a business. What I'm saying is look at it as a business transaction. So if you're selling your house at $300,000, that's $300,000 of revenue. That's not. We're not talking about profits. Businesses aren't marketing based, a percentage based on their profits. It's based on their revenue. So when you're selling a house and it's $300,000, it's $300,000. That's the revenue. And you're paying 6% to market this house properly to consumers who are going to find the house. And if you have a good agent, it's going to have, good marketing. It's going to have nice photos. It's going to be out into the world. And when I say the world, I'm talking about depending on the agent that you hire, the network that certain agents have go not just nationally but internationally. So, and that's all part of that marketing part of it. It's not just to put your house on the MLS. It's not just, so an agent can come there and take photos and, and put it on the MLS. There's a lot more that goes into it. And again, if you know a little bit, when you look at actual businesses, their marketing budget is pretty extensive. And I'm saying 10%, that's probably, that might be a little bit on the low side, depending on what kind of business you're in. Mm-hmm. For the business of selling homes, it takes 4 to 6%, or it takes, about 6% or 5.3, as NAR said, to market your home properly and get it sold for the most amount of money that you're going to get. If it's not marketed properly, you're not going to maximize that revenue for this particular business transaction.
Yeah. But man,
should I drop the mic now? Boom.
Oh, it didn't work. I didn't actually have to drop it.
Nah, that's all right. So I think we lost half of our viewers during my rant. I don't know, man. No, I'm just kidding.
You even have me going through Facebook right now.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. So I'm actually, because we're getting close to the tail end, so I'm actually generating a very real scenario when it comes to a breakdown of commissions. So I'm actually kind of working on that right now, and that way we can show people exactly what a listing agent or an agent in general. But in this case, we're talking about a listing agent because they're the ones that you're hiring as a seller. All right. So let's see here. Do you want to? Are we there yet, or do we have something else that we kind of?
No, let's.
FISBO was the biggest thing.
Yeah, that was kind of a big thing. I mean, I wanted to hammer home the fact that yes, there are commissions. Yes, the sticker price it does seem like a lot, but it's not as much, it's not, I can't think of, right. It's not as big as you think. And then now what we're going to do is actually break down where those commissions are actually going. What are you actually paying for? Because that's always a big question. I get the sticker shock. You want me to pay what now? $20,000? Well, and all you're doing is just putting my house in the MLS and then I pay you $20,000 and then that's it. And then I move on. That's usually the pushback that agents get from people wanting to list their homes. So what I wanted to do is just kind of give a breakdown of, you're going to put it on a spreadsheet, Chris, or?
Yeah, I'm actually working on it right now. So we can actually go through this.
Okay.
So kind of together as I'm still working on this. So, so here, let me know if you can see it.
Oh, there we are. Zoom in, my friend.
I'm trying to, this is not an actual Excel. I mean, this is a Google's Excel spreadsheet. So zooming in has become quite limited, to be honest with you.
Can you hold down Control and use your mouse wheel?
Well, I just found myself the Z.
Welcome to IT Support Line with Chris and Jared.
Right. All right, cool. Here we go.
There it is.
Got it. All right, go away. All right. So we have a sales price of $300,000, right?
Yes.
We have a standard commission or just a commission of 6% total. The total is $18,000. Okay.
Right. And again, like we said before, those commissions can be negotiated. They could change. 100%. The national average is 5.3. We're just going with 6 just because it's a round number.
It's a round number that everyone is familiar with.
Correct.
All right. So we got 50-50 split between brokers. So what I mean by that is listing agent and buyer's agent. 50-50. So it's $9,000 a piece. Once the deal is closed, if the deal closes, all right, there's
after all the trials and tribulations that you go through to get this deal closed and go to the closing table and sign the 1,000 documents that you have to sign.
Cool. Yep. Once that's done, the agent is looking at 9,000. But wait, he has to split it with the
There's
broker.
more.
The average commission, or like the agent to broker split, is 70-30. All right. That's how it was when I first started. It's different now. It's different for everyone. But this is a really common strategy. So the broker gets 30%, the agent, me, will get 70. All right. So the gross commission for the agent will be $6,300. Well, Chris, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah,
Is
of
it
course.
though? Is it? Let's break this down some more. All right.
So in this, that's on the split between side. Yeah. This is on the listing side.
All right. So as of right now, yeah. So I did the math already. So sorry, 70% of $9,000 is $6,300.
Yes.
Okay? But with Century 21, we have a royalty fee. The royalty fee is 6%. So you off of that, because the broker has to get his money. All right.
Correct.
So after that, now we have a royalty fee, 6%. That's $378 off of 6,300. All right. Now we have errors in admission. That's $40. All right, for our brokerage. Now our new gross is $5,882. Well, guess what? Uncle Sam has to take a chunk of that change. All right.
Right.
So what is that? What's the new gross of that? So let's see here. I have my calculator up off screen. So that puts it at $4,411.50. All right, that's our new gross.
Right.
But wait, I have marketing that I dished out.
Hey.
So depending on what you do,
yep,
and what I do, a full service agent, it really kind of depends based on how many photos. I always do a Matterport. That's $100. My photos range from $100 to $300. So that's $400 at the most as of right now. Yep. And then I have video. Well, the video is going to take time to edit. All right. Yep. So that person will charge anywhere from $75 to $100 an hour. So now I'm in a whole $500.
I can tell you based on, so I have a photography company, and based on doing video, there's a wide range. There's basic video that might cost you $100, but then if you start getting into like the high end video where it's got some nice editing and color corrections, and there's some cool music, and you got some cool scene, changes between different scenes, you could easily spend $800 to $1,000 on a nice video.
And keep in mind, like, that's just a basic price. If you get into like the high priced homes, you're going to expect higher quality. So you can spend an easy grand just on just the digital marketing, just capturing and editing, not the expense of, now I'm going to go on social media and spend $100 on ad revenue, or not ad revenue, but on advertising. Yeah, ad revenue, spending on making sure that your home gets the maximum exposure.
Right.
Okay.
And here's while we're on the topic of photos. So here's I get you might get the question, well, Chris, can't I just take my cell phone and I'll save us the $300 to get of doing photos and video, and I'll just take my cell phone, I'll go around, I'll snap some pictures. So again, having studied the stats and being able to market my own photography company, I can tell you that having top-notch photos, number one, it's going to get, so when you list your house, it's going to get placed on all the big real estate websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, and things like that. When you have, and they have algorithms that analyze these photos. If they're shot with no editing with a cell phone, those companies, those algorithms are going to know that, and they're not going to place your home as high. When they are nice, they're edited, the lighting is even, things like that, then your home is going to get placed higher. It's kind of like doing a Google search, and you see those websites that have, they're in the first top 2, 3, 4 spots. That's because their content is informative. It fits what you're searching for, and it's the same thing how those other websites work. So I just want to throw that in there. You can't just do this and expect that you're going to get the same results. And also, one of the stats to throw out there is the fact that better photos will typically net you about $11,000 more on a home versus a home that does not have good photos. That's a stat. I didn't just make it up. I don't remember where. It probably came off of NAR or something like that, National Association of Realtors. But it's an actual stat that's out there. And like I said, I can't remember where I got it, but I know that I've read it, because during the time doing the research for my company is I wanted to know why somebody should buy nice photos. Well, it's because it nets you more money on your purchase or on your sales price. And it's about the average number is about $11,000 more.
Yep. That's it, man.
So with that said, those photos and all that digital marketing is super, super expensive. Or not expensive. Important is what I meant to say.
Yep.
So where are we at now, Chris? You're typing in a bunch of stuff. So we looked at marketing. You got in.
So I'm kind of going through this as you were kind of talking. All right. So
Okay.
we have our taxes, we have our new gross, and then after marketing, just as a fucking basic, all right, $500. Now we have our new gross, $3,900. Now we're gonna go into our personal expenses. Well, mortgage, rent, $850. Personal bills, let's just say, accounts for 50% of. So we're gonna take 3911 minus 50. Let's say 1139.50 minus 850. So that brings us to a total of $3,661.50. What happened there?
I'm not sure. I think you hit
I think I was trying to do this.
You're trying
Maybe.
to hashtag.
Maybe I was, right? Personal bills for me, it's 50%. All right, because I want to make sure my bills are covered in advance. So let's go ahead and do that. 50. Let's see here. I'm going off of my phone here, so forgive me. So that's $1,500. 1,530 to be exact. 75. So what does that leave me with after? So that's it. Yeah, 15, 30, 30, 75. Savings gets 30% automatically, non-negotiable. So and that's 15. So like there. So what I'm doing here is like I'm taking 50% of after my mortgage. So my rent and my mortgage is non-negotiable. All right. So this is now essentially my new gross. All right. So now I'm taking that. So 50% of this is that. So I'm going to take 30% off of this right here. So that would be $900 for
Right.
for savings. $118.45. Now my play money is typically like 20%. So this is gas, restaurants, going out, have fun with my friends. So $612.30. All right. So format. I'm just kind of turning into money, but it's all right. You guys get the picture. Oh wait, I haven't even gotten to business expenses yet. So now I'm gonna have to recalibrate all this stuff.
Yeah. So I think
if you
business
really
expenses are going to be a little bit more. Yeah. It makes a little bit more sense to. Essentially, what you're getting to is
So what I really do is like 50% for bills. I actually do 50% of the 3,900 is going into all total bills. So of this 1,530, I actually split it 50% again. 50% of 1,530 will go to personal bills. 15% will go to monthly expenses for the business. That's how I break it up further. So it actually goes out a lot further than this for me. That way I accumulate this. So at the end of the day, I'm getting less than $500 of actual play money. That's how businesses run. All right. They make sure everything is taken care of so they don't have to worry about it. They don't see this and then explode it. The people and the agents who do this, and believe me, I was one of them. All right. I was one of those people that were models and bottles. I didn't save for Uncle Sam. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still paying my taxes for 2018. Okay,
Yikes.
so I'm no longer in the hole. I just have that hole. All right.
Right.
So again, like a new agent, they don't necessarily know how to handle stuff like this. An experienced agent, we know how to handle our shit now. So, and at the end of the day, we're not really playing with a lot of money. Just because my pay stub, says, like, whatever, over 100K, under 100, over 100K, doesn't mean I actually have 100K in the bank. Okay.
Right.
So to think that we get paid too much, maybe. To each their own. To
you,
each
you
their
really
own.
took a
Okay.
turn there. I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Everyone
he's
was
gonna
waiting
be
for
like,
it.
I
Everyone's
know. I
gonna
was
be like,
like,
I
oh,
get
he's
it.
gonna be like,
No,
that's
we don't get paid
crazy.
enough. Like, no,
Yeah.
like we get paid great.
You're like, maybe.
A good agent who does a lot of good business
Yes.
every single year. They're we're trying to please so many people, and there's a
Right.
lot of times there's only one of us.
Yep.
So to think that we get paid too much, yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, like I'm only walking around with $500 in my pocket, just like
Yeah. And you,
everyone else. All my
and
money is getting reinvested to make sure I have a roof over my house, just like you.
right.
I have food in my fridge. My bills to be able to keep the electric on, to be able to do this podcast has to be taken care of. My
Right.
business itself has its own bills to make sure
Yep.
people are being talked to.
And that's the thing that we haven't really covered as far as, I mean, you kind of got into the personal side of it, but if you're keeping it, if you keep it just strictly business, on that, would we say, if we're doing a 50-50 split or whatever said we get, it was like $6,000 or something after the brokerage takes theirs, that $6,000, and you're taking out the marketing, the photos and everything like that. So it, let's call it, we're down to like 5,000. Now we have to pay for, I have a service fee every year that I have to pay for the MLS, and a lot of agents are on different or several MLS systems. So
I'm on 3 of
yes,
them.
yeah. So there you go. So that's an added fee, and some of those MLS are not cheap.
Stellar's over $500.
Yeah. So that's an annual fee that you have, or it's spread out through the year, but it's basically an annual. Some of them are, you can do payments. It
Well,
depends.
yeah. Space Coast. One of them is like $92 a quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. New Smyrna has kind of something similar where you kind of do like a payment every quarter or something like, so it's not a big chunk at the end of the year, but that is an added cost along with all of the services that, so like I said before, is I'm an independent contractor. Chris is an independent contractor that works with the brokerage, Century 21. And so we have services that we have to pay for that we use on our business side. So it might be marketing services to market to new clients, marketing services that go out to market when we list a home, that go out to certain things, whether it's print media or social media or other websites. We might have our own website that we have to maintain. So there's basically, what I'm saying is, there's overhead of running a real estate business. So the overhead, and it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. So when you're paying, no different than when you go to buy a car, you're paying for that business's overhead by buying a car from them. You give them money, they're making a profit, and they're paying for their overhead of that business. You're not negotiating, well, I don't want you, you're not telling them, I don't want you to make a bunch of money and they're going to go out of business. Same with us, is we can't accept a steep discount on these commissions and still run an efficient and good business.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, you may actually really, I'm going to bring this around to those, like the companies that are like the 1%ers.
Right.
They are just funnel fillers.
They
The
are.
people, they're going to shove everyone down, like 100 people at a time, 100 people a month. And
they operate on volume.
They operate on volume alone. People are
Yeah.
going to make it. People aren't going to make it. Oh, well,
Right.
money's still coming coming in. All right. All right. Who cares?
Yeah.
So just kind of bring it around. Like,
So when you look at those 1%ers, you have to look at the fact that they're operating on volume. So what does that mean? That means they have a ton of clients. When you look at local agents, they have just a handful of clients, or maybe they don't have any right at the time. So you are their sole focus. You call them and they answer right away. So it just nice. I like it. So again, you just when you see that commission, the 6%, the 5%, whatever it is, just know and understand what it's going to, and ask your agent. Say, hey, what can you break it down for me? Because I don't quite understand. Like all I see is $20,000, and you're the one here telling me that I have to pay you $20,000 to sell my house.
Absolutely, sir. And you know why? Because I want you to set expectations. What do you want from me?
Yes.
Oh, I want to call every day. Yes, sir. What do you else?
Okay.
Like, I want to be told when the next date is, like major date. You got it. What else? What do you got? Like a full service agent will tell you exactly like what are your expectations of me. And like a good seller would be like, I want you to keep me informed on a regular basis. Okay, sir. How regular?
Yes.
Do you want every day? Because this doesn't. There are going to be some lull points where I'll have nothing to report. So okay, well every 2-3 days. Okay, absolutely. You'll never hear from me no more than 2 days. All right, excellent. And then just set proper expectations. I want to see a regular report. How often, sir? Do you want it every other day, once a week? I want to see a report once a week if the house, like this is a different market. In this market, it's going to sell quickly. But in a slower market, it's like, I want to see a report every week. Yes, sir. What else? Like, set expectations for your realtor.
Right. Yeah.
Do it. You're the one paying the man.
You're paying them. You're paying them.
Or the woman. 67% of buyers, or not buyers. Oh, actually, I have the stat right here. Where is it? Where is it? Of like how many people, the demographic of the realtor. Hold on, it's right.
But here. You're the one paying the 6%, the $20,000, the $18,000, whatever it is. So you're the one that gets to dictate what your expectations are, what you're going to get out of this deal, and so it again, the whole point of this topic tonight was just to kind of shed some light on, not to convince you that you have to pay the full 6% or that you should pay or you should not pay or whatever. It's just to shed light on, well, but to shed some light on what you're actually paying. What is it going to? What is the breakdown of it? Why is it there? And why, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So did you find it?
Yes, I did. So the characteristics of a realtor. The typical realtor is a 50-year-old white female who attended college and was a homeowner. 65% of all realtors were female, up slightly from 64 last year. The majority of realtors are 82% homeowners, and 37% of them actually own a secondary property. So
wow.
the older,
so we're in the minority.
We are the minorities. Huh? Yep.
We're on the younger side, and we're both male.
Double.
I know.
I really don't have very much more to say. I think we've hammered enough of the point home how like it's crucial to understand what you're paying for.
Understanding is key for any part of the transaction, any part of the business deal, selling your home. It's key to understand all of it. Even when you do when you talk to the lender, if you're buying a house and you're talking to, it's important to understand all the things that you're having to give them, why you're giving it to them, bank statements, and they're pulling your credit, and why you got the percentage rate. All of these things are important to understand. Commission is one of those things, and it's important to understand why it's there, why you're paying it, why the seller usually pays it. The buyer can pay it. There's no rule or law that says the buyer can't pay their buyer's agent a commission.
Yeah.
It's just all about what's negotiated. However, the standard right now is the seller pays both sides of the commission. But again, there's everything is negotiable. On these commissions, you might have an agreement with your listing agent that you're paying a 6% commission, 3% to the listing agent and 3% to the buyer's agent. But when you start negotiating the contract, that might be something that comes up in a negotiation. It doesn't happen. I've not seen it, but again, everything is negotiable.
Okay. Yeah, everything is negotiable. I've for me, when it comes to like having that conversation, honestly, it's about what you're trying to net, seller.
Right.
It's like, Jared, I understand you're trying to sell your house, and you're asking about my commissions. Okay, understandable. What are you trying to net, sir? Oh, well, I would like to see about a 50K net. Okay, what's your current mortgage balance? Okay, and then they're going to go ahead and what I do is I start plugging in the numbers and I'll do like a full service. Is like I said, I just
Right.
want you to know I'm plugging these numbers in because I am a full service agent.
Mm-hmm.
It is negotiable to a degree to where, but I didn't really go into that far. I was just like, say, I am a full service agent. So these are full service numbers.
Right.
And then ultimately, I'm like, here's what we can sell your house for. And then here's what all the fees, including the commissions at a full service agent level. And it says here that you will net 48K. Chris, I would really like to see that at 50. I'll say, okay, understandable. Let's go ahead and make some adjustments. Like, we are reasonable people. We're reasonable business models. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to sacrifice a deal and a good experience just over $2,000. So, like, let's make this work. Okay, it's like, all right, so we're going to go ahead and just change these numbers around a little bit. We're going to take a little bit on both sides off, or I'll take a little bit on my off, or like, you know, like my fee is set, or we're going to go ahead and take out the buyers, and boom, there you go. It's like, all right, cool. Thank you. You know, I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. And then they're going to go ahead and make it work. Like a good agent will make sure you fully understand. You just have to ask. Just have to ask. Just ask.
Yeah.
So
That's all it is.
it is.
That's all it is. And it's not, don't be scared. Don't be nervous. It's money, but it's your money.
Yep.
So spend it wisely.
Spend it wisely, not
Indeed.
foolishly.
Yes.
So, Jared, let's go ahead and chime these people out.
Let's do it. So, we're doing. We're not gonna tell them.
My glass is up, bro.
We're not gonna tell them like where they can find us. Are we doing? Are we going out now?
No, we can tell them where you find us. Go ahead, tell us. Tell them where they can find us.
So if you want to listen to the audio only version of our podcast, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, iHeartRadio, and I think that's it.
About Anchor.
I said it. Go back. Replay the tape. Yeah, so or any other, if you have an app on your phone, you want that you listen to podcasts, just search for Whiskey with an Agent. We should pop up in there. But yeah.
We should pop, like, I'm following it popped up like real quick.
Or just do a Google search on Whiskey with an Agent. I think we're like the 4th or 5th link that pops up. Yeah. And you'll find us on, actually our audio only is on Facebook. You have to be on Facebook mobile, but it is on there, and you can listen to podcasts through our Facebook with Whiskey with an Agent Facebook page.
Shit. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's on there. I put it on there. Thank you. You're welcome. All right.
Thank you.
High five.
Hey,
awesome. So, all right, now we can do a cheers. Let's cheers them out. You want?
Okay. Everybody
yes.
that has been with us today, we greatly appreciate you. We appreciate it. The fact that you guys are interactive with us. We're not going anywhere.
This is episode 13, by the way.
Episode 13. Cheers to episode 13. Good lucky number.
Yes.
So, tell your friends, look at our history. We do a dram style, which is a shorter, condensed version. Not everyone has 2 hours to listen to us, which you totally understand. The condensed version is between 20 and now 40 minutes long. from our last
Most of
one.
the time they're about 20 minutes.
So we will do a more condensed version of this. We just got to make sure we structure it correctly. So be on the lookout for that. All right.
Yep.
But we appreciate your support.
Absolutely.
Tell your friends is all we can ask for. So cheers, salute, mazel tov, all that good stuff.
Yes.
All right, Jared, my friend. Cheers, brother.
It's always fun.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you had to do that. Of course,
it went down the wrong way. Oh my gosh! All right, I think we need to end it on that note. On that note. Oh, that hurt. All right.
All right.
Let's get out of here.
Right. Chase that burn. See you later, everyone.
See ya.